Okay, so if you're expecting me to do like a regular review of the pocket cinema camera, this is not gonna be it. I'm gonna basically talk about my experiences using it as a professional filmmaker. Scandinavian Photo sent me this one. Blackmagic Pocket Cinema Camera 4K. Sorry for the noise. So many people have been saying that this is so big, and this is a cinema camera. You gotta understand that these two cameras, they are pretty much identical in terms of quality. Okay, so we out here. It's a freaking snowstorm. We're gonna shoot some stuff now. I'm just waiting for Andre to put the ND filter on. He's there. But you can't really see, but there's mountains everywhere here. You see that car? Very snowed in. Snow everywhere. These are C-Fast cards. I don't know why these aren't on the list. I have the Ursa, that's the Ursa shooting. I'm gonna have both of these. I just love the Ursa. I think it's a super underrated camera. The thing is, with the new Blackmagic RAW, it's a new camera. Even 1600 is clean as So this one doesn't record that yet, but it's gonna, and that's gonna be game changing because you're gonna be able to edit this fast as ProRes, but it's gonna be RAW, and you're gonna have all the latitude and all the goodies that RAW bring you. So you could do these dramatic scenes with this. Like, I always want to pack the lightest as I can, but when you do shoots like this, when it's like a lot of production money and like it takes a lot of time to go through everything, so I just want it to be as tiny as possible, but usually it's kind of hard to do that. I usually bring too much stuff. We're in Reykjavik. First thing we're told is that we might be stuck in a snowstorm. We're gonna go with the car, but we need to change the car because it's a snowstorm. But we'll see how well we do on this trip. I think this is a lot of snow. I don't know if I can get out here. The reason why I love the whole idea of that camera so much is two things. Light sensitivity, that's key. If you want to do docs and have a pretty type of doc, you need clean images. So shooting in RAW and shooting in like high ISO when you need to, it's key. If you can do that, then you can work like a regular documentary stills photographer and still get like beautiful, natural looking images. And that I think the camera, without a doubt, will produce. Out of this mess. I'll probably never get in if I do it. So anyway, look at the place. The woman who we're filming was in Reykjavik, so I just thought, let me just go with her and I can shoot, because otherwise I'm just gonna sit in this car, which was good, but I'm very tired, and then you need to structure all this shit. It's pretty much chaos. I've actually been here before once, in Akureyri, and I didn't know about it. It's so damn dark here, we don't have a lot of daylight, so we're just gonna jump into the car and go into the mountains again and try to look for Storm, because that's why we're here. Let me show you chanterelles. So I've been testing out the Pocket at different ISOs, and this is 1250, and it's supposed to be the cleanest together with the lower ISOs. So you're not going to want to use the ISO settings in this one like you do on a regular camera. You need to think a little bit more about, like, more intention into which ISO setting you set, because certain ones are more clean than the others. I feel like you shouldn't shoot with RAW at the moment. I feel like it's not worthwhile. It feels a bit soft. It feels like it's a bit compromised in a way, because when you look at it, it feels like it loses a bit of sharpness. We've been shooting now for about 3 days. This is the last day, and we're pretty much done. So I thought I'd show you a little bit of how I set up the camera and why I picked the pocket camera for this. I had to make like these really ugly plastic things because it's been a snowstorm. So we've been shooting in a snowstorm all this time, and I didn't want like the ports to be exposed. And it's not a weather sealed camera, so this is my solution to that. So plastic on batteries. I have two V-Lock Sony batteries. I'm not sure what they're called. Probably write that out. And they power the camera and they power the monitor. And the monitor is from Iceland. It's a VL35. It does okay in this weather. And I think like I haven't had that much issues. And then I have a tentacle sync to sync everything to a lavalier mic. That's Electrosonics PDR, and then a Sennheiser MKH416 as a microphone on the camera, and a Rycote wind shield. You can tilt the monitor, you can direct the mic. Works pretty well. Cages from 8sin. That's the setup. And like on shoots like this, it's super important that you have like versatile equipment. I went with this camera because it's so small, so I really wanted to like have a camera that works pack light, it's light sensitive, and like the image quality of this one is amazing. I'm using it mainly with this Lumix 12-35 lens, which has worked out pretty well. It's a bit of a hassle to not have a matte box because there's so much like storm going on, but other than that it's been totally fine for me, this setup. And I use it on the easy rig, so it's not a heavy thing. It just sits like this in the air. That's pretty much it. Shot some with the Ronin S as well, but that's my setup and I just like the simplicity of it. This is a sign of snow chaos. You can't see the signs. Too much snow going on. So this snow, it came in about like 48 hours. It's totally chaos. Look at this. It's taller than me. It's so much snow. So much snow. Just imagine like having this in like 24 hours. That's where the main bulk of the snow came. And then like it just kept coming. I found that 400 is the max that you want to go on the first ISO, like for the dual ISO. First one, 100 to 400 is totally fine, super clean. Okay, above that up to 1000, do not use it. 1250 to 2000, okay, try to keep it at 1250. 3200, if you have to, you would go up there. I did use that for the Iceland shoot, and the images came out clean and everything, but you are losing a lot of details, so you can't think like, okay, I can just crank up the ISO and I can just shoot natural light. Doesn't work like that. You still need to have some light. So if you're like we were driving in the middle of the night, in the middle of nowhere, and there's no additional light, you're gonna get a shitty looking image, however you do it. So you need to add lights in those situations. But if you're shooting in a city or something like that, then it's gonna look fantastic. And we did that at 3200, and yeah, I just think those totally work. I wouldn't add like additional noise, but what I'm liking is that the noise that you're getting in, I think this is gonna be the same in Blackmagic RAW, but in ProRes, is a very natural looking and pretty beautiful type of noise. A lot, I think, looks like the Super 16 look. So you could actually push this material to be a bit more noisy in camera, and then just keep it like that. Don't like reduce noise in post, make it into a look. And then another thing that I realized was that the reason Blackmagic RAW and the ProRes works better than the Cinema DNG is because the new Blackmagic RAW has an algorithm that does noise reduction even in the raw footage, and that is done in camera to save time for you in post and that sort of thing. And I just think that that material, it makes sense for me because I've used it with the Ursa and I think it looked much better. It does not become like a noise reduction that a lot of cameras have, where a lot of cameras, when they do noise reduction, they would like destroy the image because they do like post-processing that is losing detail. I don't feel like that's going on with the Blackmagic, not in ProRes and not in Blackmagic RAW in the Ursa. So something is really smart with how they've implemented the noise reduction, because I feel you're getting a better result by doing that in the format rather than in DaVinci Resolve. And you're gonna speed up the process a ton. So you still have a lot of details, even though you've done some minor noise reduction. And I feel you get a sharper image as well. So I would still stick to ProRes until Blackmagic RAW comes out, and I would avoid Cinema DNG. You should expect to get the same kind of quality that you get from big cinema cameras. It's that good. It's amazing in terms of the image quality. That's like not even discussable. It's so damn good that anybody that doesn't get great imagery out of the camera, you suck. So what do I think? Do I still love this camera? I've had it for about a month, I think. Ever since I used the 5D Mark II, and that's what I shot my first film on. That camera in its form factor and everything is what I actually like. I like the DSLR type of style. I don't like it to be bigger than it has to be. Now, I would love if this had like internal NDs and everything, but I get that that's pretty hard to get in a small form factor like this. So this, in terms of size, for me is perfect. I don't need it to be smaller. It's perfectly stable, and I just love that this has the same image quality like the big cinema camera beasts out there. And it is built in a way that I think that like most people will become more professional if they buy this. Like if you're used to using compressed formats and all that shitty like mic inputs and all, this is a step up, even though it's cheaper. There was a couple of issues that I had with it in the beginning. First of all, the battery solution here, this one couldn't close. Like you squeeze the grip, it would come out. I don't know if it does that still, no. But the solution to that was pretty simple. A flat screwdriver. You just force close it, and then once it's done that one time, it works perfectly. There's no problem whatsoever with that one. So that's like a quick fix. Outside of that, I think the monitor was my biggest issue with this camera. And I think by having like a separate monitor like I have, this is like the handheld setup that I use. It's just the ICANN monitor here, and then you get the big monitor. But I would love to have a loop for this, because if you'd have a loop, you could just go handheld like this. But when you do this with this big screen, you're gonna have trouble being focused with your eye. Like, I guess some people would point out that, yeah, you're getting old, Johnny, and you should probably get some glasses or contact lenses. But that's not the problem here, I think. Because if we take like a credit card or something, let's take this battery, for instance, and you take a credit card, do it now and hold it like this. This is perfect. I can focus my eyes, no worries. But what stupid fuck would hold a camera like this? Nobody that's supposed to hold a camera holds it like this. It's too far out. You wouldn't get it stable. You need it closer to yourself. So then bring the credit card closer to your face and still try to focus. That's not gonna be possible if you don't have like close eyesight or whatever. And that's not you know, the common thing for people to have. So I would say this screen is too big for its own good. It's also a problem that you can't tilt it, because a lot of the time you're gonna want to have the camera right here. This is like the base place. This is where the eyesight is. That's where the top monitor is. It's not down here. So you're gonna have to like be doing this. That's not a good thing. It's really hard. And this makes this a pretty useless monitor a lot of the time. But if you could get a loop to this and you could actually have it like this and get it stable like that, then you'd be fine. So I need that loop. I've been asking for it for a long time. Please somebody, just build it. It also needs a diopter so you can focus your eye. I guess that's like my biggest concerns with this camera. Outside of that, like, it's a beast. It's amazing. This is as good as my Ursa. It's better than my Ursa, I would say. I love the ports on it, that they're not flimsy. You have the mini XLR, which is phantom powered, so you can have amazing quality audio. You have the power adapter, which hooks in and doesn't slip out. You have this clamp on this 8-pin cage for both USB and HDMI, so that doesn't become flimsy and destroyed. You have this port here, which is something that some people would use for having like a separate mic. Do not use the line input for mics. Use the XLR. No, never. What you should do though, use the line input for like a tentacle sync or a timecode generator. And then you can have like everything time-coded and easy to sync and reliable to sync. The reason why you don't want to use that is because it doesn't have as good preamps, it seems. So the XLR input is better and cleaner. That's why you should use that. So get a mic that actually has XLRs. That's the professional microphone thing. Okay, and outside of that, I think one other annoying thing was these buttons on top. I think when I used it on the Easy Rig, I would kind of push these because I was like trying to get it stable. For instance, I would hold it like this or something, I don't know. But I would accidentally push these a lot of the time. So if you'd get a full cage instead of a half cage like I have, that would solve that problem. You could also like not use these function buttons, but you probably want to use them. It's just a little bit annoying, but not a big thing. And then the last thing that I don't like is when you use these buttons, they can be used together with its wheel here, which is pretty amazing. Like, you can just use this for adjusting the iris. Very quick. But if you put like ISO, push that, and then you can adjust that. Very simple. The problem though is that you can't really see on the second monitor what's being, you can see what's being changed in terms of up here, but you can't see what button you've pushed and what you're changing. So I would like for them to add what's happening here in the OS up in that external viewfinder or monitor. Okay, that's my biggest concerns with it. And those are not big things. They're definitely not something that would like hold me off of buying this, because this is the best small cinema camera that you can get. So for the audio, the internal mics on this camera is actually really, really good. So I haven't heard any camera that has this good in-camera mics, but I would not use them for anything else than like doing vlogging type of stuff where you're close, because you would be better off with a directional mic in other cases, or a lav. But in terms of like vlogging, it's definitely sufficient. You probably need to add some form of windshield, and there's not a custom made one. So I bought this fabric, and I'm thinking that these should be able to stick to the camera somehow. I haven't finalized that, but that's like my thought of it, so that I can use it as a backup sound, because it's really good. But then for the internal XLR, the audio is great and it works really well. Now, I'm a guy that could afford renting an Alexa, I could have a Red, even own a Red, but I choose not to, because I don't think it's worth the money for what you get out of those cameras. I think this camera, I think the Ursa, I think the C300 Mark II, all those cameras are like better suited for what I do. It's not about the money. I don't care about the money at all. This is a camera that has a place in my production that no other camera has. It's so small that it can fit in the smallest backpack. I can hike a mountain and I can do all these kinds of things that you couldn't do otherwise. You can have it on a Ronin S and you can have this beautiful imagery, but in a small form factor. But if you do this camera on a Ronin, I think you need to have a follow focus to actually be able to work in a professional way with it. Because once you have that, once you have it with a follow focus and you can control the focusing and you have a second monitor that's mounted to the handle of the Ronin, this is a beast. I didn't have that for this shoot, so I only used the Ronin for like 1 day, and I felt like it was a bit clunky to do all the focusing and everything. But as soon as I get the little thing that you put on, like it's a small motor for the follow focus for both like cinema lenses and these types of lenses, you put like this, yeah, gear rings on that I have for this one, then it's fine. Then you can easily work with that on the Ronin. Bottom line, I think get this camera.